All right, we're speeding here. I'm getting a slight buzz in the headphones here. Are you hearing that? Yeah, it stopped. Wow.
Wow. Am I on the right side? No. Now I'm on the right side.
Yeah, I was saying last episode was going to be sounding good, and I listened back to it. It doesn't sound
Ready for
that
this?
good, I would say.
Oh, here we go.
I would say this sounds better. You can crack open a little claw. Ooh. Sponsored by White Claw. Ooh, sexy. You want to be sexy? Drink a White Claw. That's kind of what White Claw is. I feel like that's actually kind of White Claw's pitch.
Yeah.
You want to be hot? You want to be a woman? You want to be hot?
I mean, you could be a man and be hot with White Claw. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah. Arguably, sure.
I mean,
That's what you think you're doing.
You're drinking your rain and you're looking like Mickey Mouse right now.
Wait, I look like Mickey Mouse.
Because your hair's popping on each side like a Mickey Mouse.
Do I look ridiculous?
No, you look beautiful like Mickey Mouse.
I fucking hate Mickey Mouse. Piece of shit.
Which is messed up because we're striking Disney right now.
Yeah, we are. Yeah. Speaking of, reading a very interesting book right now called Disney War. My dad recommended it to me.
Okay.
Did I tell you about this? I did?
Briefly. I mean, you didn't really tell me much about the book, but you told me your father got your book called Disney War, and it's about, like, internal conflict in the
Well,
studio.
yeah. It's kind of, it's interesting. It really reminds me of Succession, the show.
Really?
Al said he's on the way now. Perfect timing.
Didn't he say he wasn't going to be over till 11?
Yeah. He's early nowadays.
What time? I mean, it's not a bad thing.
All right, I'm just gonna send him a
Maybe I just assumed 11.
send message to Al.
You could call him. Why don't you call him on the pod?
No, it keeps. Oh my god.
I'll call him. Yeah, he says I get
Send
off of
message
work at
to
like
Al.
11. Ow.
Sweet. Period. Just call me when you're here. Gabe and I are podcasting. No, change this.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a great opportunity to know like how the friends work.
Sweet. Just call me when you're here. Period. Gabriel and I are podcasting.
We're very organized
God damn it.
and early to everything.
Sucks. What? Wait, we didn't do the clap yet.
Let's do it.
Oh, 3, 2, 1.
Damn, we waited almost 3 minutes for that one. Shitter.
Hey, whatever, right? We had to take care of some business.
Yeah,
Al's early. He was early yesterday, too.
Does that mean we're not allowed to be late anymore to him? It sounds like the friend group is maturing.
Do you think...
It's like
can I ask you a
Entourage
question?
season 6 right now.
I actually... I think maybe we have Al pop on and answer this question. Do you think us being that late to game night made him realize how shitty it feels for people to be that late?
If it did, then I'm glad it took that to teach him that lesson.
Because the time where I drew the... What the fuck? The time where I drew the line in the sand was he and Havy were like 90 minutes... They might have been 2 hours late.
To what?
Just to hang.
That kind of sucks. That blows.
That's what I'm
you could
saying.
be doing so many other things.
And I was like, guys, they call me like, we're 90. I was like, what the fuck? I was actually pretty pissed. And Havy's like, oh, now I feel bad. You should feel bad.
I wonder if this is one of those American things. So, for instance, I went down to a restaurant the other day, right? And
you think Europeans are just like whatever?
I went to the restaurant, and this GM, I won't say his name, I won't say the restaurant, but he was very laid back. He was very straightforward. He told me how the restaurant was struggling in business, but he came on about a year ago, and he's kind of building it back up. The owner's taking kind of a laissez-faire approach. He thinks that his clout will be able to bring in the crowd, but the sales aren't showing, right? So the GM's like, yeah, the restaurant was in pretty rough shape, but I think we're starting to try to get it back on track. And he's like, I'll do my best to take care of your needs. Like, we're Italian. We're laid back. And, like, if you're going to be late, I don't care. Just let me know. You know what I'm saying? It was one of those things where I was like, oh, yeah, this is... It was funny. He was like, we're not American. Like, Americans get all mad and tight about, like, being on time. And I was like, it really is an American thing, isn't it? Or a Western thing. Western's not quite right because Italians are part of the Western world.
I guess it's, yeah.
Which is funny because we're in L.A. We're not New York. You know, I always feel like L.A. is more
yeah.
laid back than New York. You know.
Sure. I mean, there's always like a continuum to these things. But yeah, I'd say like L.A. is a little chill because people really get to work in L.A. at like 9.
Right, 9, 10 o'clock.
Yeah,
they don't go in at 7:38.
New York people are at work at like 7.
Yeah.
There are degrees to these things. I think Americans in general though do care about punctuality. I think that's probably like just a result of like it being a young country that's composed of immigrants and descendants of immigrants, and like it's a young like the Europeans are just like we've seen it all. I think we've seen a lot. We're not really on the
what I wonder part of it is
thing anymore.
So you say young country, right?
Yeah.
I wonder if part of that young country is tied to the fact that we're also a commerce-based country. Don't waste my time. Get in, get out, sell me that shit, let's go. You know what I'm saying? Like, we started as a trading outpost from the Dutch. I mean, you could say it went further back, whether, it was people who were coming out here for other kinds of trades and stuff. But, like, let's say New York City specifically, because that's, kind of my roots creatively. And so New Amsterdam, don't waste my time. We get in, we get out, we trade those spices. This is why we're here, is to make money, and that kind of expands out westward. And now today, like, we really are this, I don't want to sound so, American or, egotistical, but in many ways we are, kind of the epicenter of commerce and finance and entertainment. One can make the argument we're not necessarily the center of fashion or a couple other, Western cultural products. But, yeah, I wonder if between being a young country and being a country that is focused on, like, selling, get in, get out, don't waste my time, I wonder if I'm sure there's other components to it as well.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. I feel like countries that are, like, more tourism focused seem to be more laid back, which I find sort of strange.
Well, what countries would you say are more tourism based?
Like Costa Rica, very, very. Pretty much their entire economy is tourism, and
I feel like
they're extremely laid back.
That's also, I think that's also a geographical thing as well.
Yeah, they're kind of by the equator.
Yeah, it's warmer, a little slower.
Yeah,
you're easy breezy in the ocean. You're removed from the mainland.
I would say. I mean, Italy. I would say like pretty heavily. They rely on tourism a fair amount, and I'd say they're pretty chill.
You don't think they make enough money from selling bologna and spaghetti?
Those are good exports. Those are good exports.
That was like 90% of their GDP.
Is it actually?
Bologna and spaghetti?
Are you joking? Fuck you. Fuck. Fell for it. God damn it.
You're a smart guy.
And pepperoni. And sausage. And mortadella. Just started like Tony Soprano.
Farfalle.
Where's the gabagool?
Prosciutto.
I just keep listing deli meats. And prosciutto. And mortadella.
And soprasata.
And capacol.
Gabagool.
I hate when Italian Americans. This is gonna sound. This
please
is just
say
a
it, because I'm Italian American.
I can just say it at this point.
Please say it. I want to hear it.
You can't be prejudiced toward Italian Americans anymore.
That's not true. It's not
offensive.
That's not true. But go ahead.
It's not offensive.
We just have thicker skins than the rest of you.
Yeah,
guys.
exactly. It's not offensive anymore, right? But it's not. It's not. I would say I get annoyed by Italian Americans when they do like the pronunciation thing, because I don't think that's even the Italian pronunciation. Mortadella? Is that the Italian pronunciation?
Yeah, that's how they say it.
So you're saying Italians don't say mortadella?
You have to understand, if I'm correct, when they print, like, yes, it's written with an A, but when it rolls off the tongue, the emphasis is not on the A. Mortadella. There's going to be a little bit of the L right there, but they cut that shit off.
Okay, so that's not just like an Italian American.
I think it's just a pronunciation thing. Like, nobody says capricola. They say gabagool.
I guess it's annoying, still annoying, because it's like you're not...
That's you.
That would be like me. This is what that would be like.
Go ahead, go on.
That would be like me, like Irishman being like, "Oh, get me a pint of Guinness." That's what that would be.
What the hell was that, Dale? Please break that down to me.
Give me a pint of Guinness. That's what that would be like.
A pint of Guinness.
Like all of a sudden they don't speak. They're not speaking Italian, but they're just like the mortadella, and they don't even know how to speak it. Like I'm not saying you have to like. Do you know what I'm saying? It's kind of funny. And
no, I see what you're saying, because some of these pronunciations are like twice removed from different generations.
Yes.
But like, what do you want to do? You want to completely,
I think it's
whitewash
funny.
their culture? You want to take everything from us?
I
Dale, you want to take everything
like,
from me?
We have to finish watching The Sopranos because you sound like Paulie Walnuts. They go into like a coffee shop and he starts stealing different. He goes, "They stole all this shit from us. Espresso, all this shit. They're making all the money off of it." And he starts stealing like little like merchandise they have and shit, and like putting it in his jacket. It's very funny.
I really do need to watch more of that shit.
Paulie Walnuts is a legend. Anyway.
Anywho.
Any other? All right. Writers are on strike.
Yeah, we're week 2 of the writer's strike.
Is it week 2 or is it week 3?
May 1st or May 2nd the strike started.
So this is going to be week 3.
Beginning on Monday, yeah, tomorrow.
Wow.
Gee, wow.
You and I are, theoretically, we're going to get out there and pick it, I guess.
Yeah, I'd like to go this week. I don't think I'll be going tomorrow. I have a phone interview, so I don't want to miss out on
What are you interviewing for?
Restaurant job.
Nice. Yeah, I feel like this week's going to be nuts. I start a new job.
That's right, you do.
Yeah. I'm shooting a bunch of shit on Tuesday.
What are you shooting?
She's recording on Tuesday at this studio, so I'm going to
have fun.
What a time to be alive.
What a time, baby.
Yeah. Anyway, so I'm happy with my new job. That's nice. Any other updates that you're trying to throw out there?
Working on getting a new restaurant job.
We got a new short film.
Dale and I are back in the writer's room, which is exciting.
We're not.
And we got more.
To be clear, we're not, scabbing. We're working on something on our own.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We're not getting paid to write this thing.
My Lord. Dale, one day I hope we get paid to write something. But
Gabe and I are working on this passion project script. It's gonna be very fun.
Working more like teasing out in a laid-back fashion.
We're doing the Italian approach to this.
Yeah, well, it takes us about 5 minutes to show up 90 minutes on time. It's fine. It's just how it is.
I kind of like our schedule with it. We get in there,
Honestly, these 30, 40-minute brain blasts are great.
Isn't there neurobiological evidence that like 45-ish minutes is kind of an optimal period of focus, and then you sort of can take a break and then come back.
You might be right about that.
Something like that. So I agree. I think 30 to 45 minutes, really concentrated, ideas flowing is nice.
I like it.
Some people write songs in 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't you? If you and I are in a
why can't we pull Sylvester Stallone and write the script in 3 days
all of a
over
sudden
the
it's going so well, and next thing you know, it's done.
Next thing you know, it's done. Wouldn't that be nice, Dale? Imagine if we just pounded out scripts once a week. Didn't care about quality control at all.
Yeah.
People loved it anyway.
I love that.
Shit flying out of our asses.
Words flying out of our ass.
That's it, man.
It's amazing.
What are we going to do?
Writers are on strike. I think the studios are going to fold. We got to get to the movie eventually here, but what do you think? Think studios are going to fold eventually?
Well, what's the alternative, I guess?
The alternative is they absolutely fuck them in the ass.
The alternative is the writers fold, right? I guess.
Yeah.
How could the writers fold?
They're not making any money right now.
Not making any money anyway.
They were making money, it's just not enough. No, I listen, I don't even want to talk that way. The studios are going to fold.
They're going to fold.
Well, they're going to fold once if the actors strike, that's going to really put the heat on.
They have to.
I also think I get the sense that if directors are also like, nah, I'm not shooting that movie.
What does it mean?
No, I'm not shooting that episode. No, I'm not doing this. Then that also puts the. Because remember, like apparently in the 07, 08
Well, that's
strike,
the
they
thing
were
right
still
now.
shooting stuff.
You're right. The studios are still working right now. They're just not writing.
Yeah, but that's becoming a very very quickly becoming a very controversial thing, because now people who are like working on stuff that like doesn't involve writing are getting kind of called out, and people are like, "We know you're kind of writing stuff. You have to."
Yeah, because they're editing
part of
the
the
shit
process.
on the set. Yeah, for sure.
So you shouldn't be. And some people are like kind of listening to that critique.
I read that in one of the
Who
Deadline
is it?
articles.
Who is it that? What was that guy's fucking name? He's a producer. He's a We watched something he did recently. He's doing the Andor series. What's that guy's name?
Oh,
For Disney.
I don't know.
Shit. Anyway, but I know he like stopped doing work on that series because he kind of got criticized, and he was like, I'll wear the criticism. I'll stop.
Cool. Huge, man. Huge. Yeah.
So, because I remember there was that there was a James Bond movie during the 07, 08 one that shot. I forget which James Bond it was, but it came out and it was just such a dog shit movie, and people were like, "Why does this movie suck?" It's so
I don't
weird.
know. Maybe
because it had like no script.
Right.
Like they were just like, I guess he punches the guy in the face and stabs him with a spoon, and then you're watching the James Bond movie. Like it was like I'm trying to remember which one. Was it Quantum of Solace?
Really?
No.
Quantum of Solace, I thought was like 2011.
It was it wasn't that one. It was a pretty terrible James Bond movie.
Was it a Pierce Brosnan?
He like killed. He like it was like. No. This was Daniel Craig.
Yeah.
But it was just a weird, like, kind of sad James Bond movie, and he's just like killing guys like with his bare hands and stuff, and you're like, where's this going? Like I remember as a child being like, this sucks. Because as a kid, I loved James Bond.
Really?
James Bond's sick, and then he comes in that movie was like weird. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Anyway.
You know what that means?
What?
We got to make our own
James Bond?
international spy.
No, I have
genre.
no interest.
Oh, come on, Dale. We'll make it interesting.
I'm not interested in spy stuff.
But you like James Bond.
I don't love.
But you said you really liked Ocean's 11, right?
Yeah, that's heist. That's a heist movie. I like heist movies.
Okay, so I'm not going to say it is a spy film, but would you say it's adjacent? I would.
I see what you're saying.
And if you're into that, would you want to make a heist film?
I would love to make a heist film.
We're going to make a heist film.
Just a heist with the boys.
I love it.
Just the fellas. We call it the fellas.
Speaking of which, I was brainstorming a little bit today about
You think you and I could do a heist?
in real life.
Yeah.
Probably depends on what we're heisting.
I think yeah. Al shows up 30 minutes late to the heist. No, I'm joking.
Somehow saves the day
Yeah.
because he's the car guy.
Right.
We're just waiting on the sidewalk.
Anyway.
No, I was going to say, I was brainstorming today about Ode to Strange Place, and it occurred to me that, maybe I don't want to talk about this, but I don't know if we should talk too much on the potty pod yet.
Yeah, no, don't give too much away.
Damn. Okay.
Should we get into the movie?
Yeah, I guess so. Shitter.
We're talking Guardians of the Galaxy 3 today.
Guardians, baby. Get
Volume
with it.
3, my bad.
Volume 3. Which, by the way, smash hit.
It's a smash.
It's a complete lockup.
I would say.
When's the last time you and I completely agreed on a lockup?
This is probably the first time you and I have ever agreed on a Marvel movie for sure.
Marvel, fine, but there was another film that
Barbarian we both loved.
Was Everything Everywhere a lockup for both of us?
I don't think it was a lockup for me, which now looks pretty shitty, given that it won all the Oscars.
It's okay.
My take has not
aged well.
It's a movie. This is what I'll say about Everything Everywhere Everything Everywhere I was very heavily influenced by, because it totally influenced like Extraction.
Okay.
Like it influenced stuff that I wrote afterwards.
Yeah.
But I wasn't in love with the entirety of the movie.
Okay.
Which is kind of an interesting thing. Sometimes that happens.
Yeah.
Sometimes something just resonates with you, but you can't connect just a pure kind of love for it with like your like intellectual fascination with it. I don't know. Anyway,
yeah. So
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Yeah, Guardians was. Oh man.
Written and directed by
Sean Gunn.
James Gunn.
Wow, Sean Gunn's the brother, which is the actor.
By the way, I thought was a different actor. I thought it was this. I forget the guy's name.
Are they related, Sean and James?
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah.
I think that's so cool. That one brother put the other brother in the film.
Yeah, that is sick. Produced by Kevin Feige, obviously.
Yeah.
Composer John Murphy. Cinematographer Henry Brom.
Apparently Kevin Feige did a speech for a graduation.
Yeah, he went to USC. Shout out. Fight on, baby.
Oh,
fight
man.
on, Kev.
Falling apart from these bubbles.
Kev, fight on, man. Woo!
Yeah, fight on, Kev. Yeah, that's nice. That's nice.
Yeah, I like his speech was about getting rejected from the film school 6 times or something like that.
Must be nice to.
Edited by Greg Doria and Fred Raskin. Casting director Sarah Finn. Production designer Beth Mickle. Starring Chukwudi Iwuji, who plays the High Evolutionary, who is great.
You said produced by or starring?
No, this is starring. This is the cast.
Oh, okay.
Bradley Cooper as Rocket, of course. Palm Clementif plays Mantis. Dave Bautista plays Drax, my favorite character.
Do you think Rocket played the younger version of him? Do you think Cooper played the younger version?
I think he did. I think they just changed the voice and manipulated the sound and all this stuff. Karen Gillan plays Nebula. Vin Diesel plays Groot. What? I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
Oh, what?
Yes. Does it make it better for you now?
Not necessarily. Sorry, Vin.
I am Groot.
But so that's interesting. So there's a different guy who plays the on-set Groot. So Vin Diesel is the voice, and Austin Freeman plays the on-set Groot.
That's cool. Yeah, because Vin Diesel's only doing voiceover work. He's not showing up.
Yeah, that's interesting. Vin Diesel just collects checks like you read about.
It must be nice.
It must be nice. Vin Diesel's like, yes, I'll take that check for
$2 million.
$100 million.
I should make $2 million just to do voiceover for a talking tree. Oh my goodness.
And yeah, that's kind of a lot of the main characters, right? Did I miss any main characters?
I don't know.
Steamy. Oh, and then you got Will Poulter's in this.
Will Poulter's great, actually.
Yeah, I don't want.
Who played his mother? Because she was familiar. Wasn't she?
Yeah, I'm trying to look that up.
Since you've been gone. I love that trailer, man. It's so good. Since you've been gone. Bum, bum, bum.
This is the credits are kind of fucking weird here. Sylvester Stallone has a cameo in this.
He does. Because he's in charge of the Ravagers. I wonder if they'll do a film with
Zoe
Gamora.
Saldana plays Gamora.
Zoe Saldana is such a good actor.
She's good, very good.
I like what's her name who plays Nebula.
Yeah, what's her
Something Schiff. Passed her.
Wait, hold on. Karen Gillan.
I totally messed it up.
You know, man, you really fucked up. I can't. This cast list is so
huge.
Disorganized and huge. I can't. Anyway, but do you want to? Yeah, you want to give like a little foray into like what little brief thing into what the movie's about, and then
Should we look at box office sales? See if it's doing.
Oh
well?
yeah, it's 476 million
so far
worldwide.
How many weekends has it been out?
This is as of May 13th, 2023. Opening weekend 118 million.
Wow, pretty good for pandemic film.
World gross is 476 million. I mean, the release date is May 5th. It's only been out for a week.
Yeah, a week and a half. Wow.
So that's
huge.
Ton.
$400 million worldwide.
So it probably made its money back in that week.
You think so? How much do you think it costs?
The budget's $250 million, which means it's like a $500 million movie, something like that.
Dude, that film's gonna crush the box office for the next 6 weeks.
Yeah, right. Theoretically,
I think it's gonna do it.
That's a fat opening week or so.
Yeah,
that's big
because it's gonna be running for another 6+ weeks. I feel like.
I think it's. Marvel clearly and Disney were clearly very excited about it, based on the way it was marketed. I would say it's a really confident movie.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go for it.
It makes me wonder. Some of these Marvel films really feel like movie by committee. Test audiences, writing different scenes and endings.
And this felt like an auteur kind of effort.
It felt like James Gunn. This is his thing.
Which I loved. I loved how confident it was, how consistent it was in its voice and its vision, and it never felt like there was any moment that I could discern that like where it compromised on that.
Not only that, I feel like we'll see films in the last year or so, whether it's Marvel or something else, and it feels like something's missing from the film. Like they cut 10 to 15 minutes at any given moment. And you're like, did they cut something? Is there something missing from the scene? But it kind of works, but I don't know. I kind of felt that in the movie Smile at one point. But everything...
I bet there was something cut from Smile.
Everything here was so cause and effect, you know?
Yeah, and I think it had scope without losing the focus on the main, on the Guardians, right?
Yeah.
It was just a really confident effort. I love the soundtrack, of course. The direction is just really, really strong. The writing is really strong. All the character arcs are awesome. Performances are great. It's really funny. I would say genuinely funny. I
laughed a lot.
I really found it I love the slapstick humor. I'm a big slapstick guy. The slapstick humor was really funny. There's sort of just goofball kind of humor in here.
You know what's funny? It really felt like I was watching a sitcom at one point. Because
explain that.
Because a sitcom, and I don't mean a multicam TV show. I mean a sitcom. A sitcom. Part of the reason you love a sitcom is because you have an ensemble of characters, and it's a situational comedy. You are so familiar with the characters. Let's put a pause so I can restart.
Yeah, go for it. Oh. We'll be right back. Movie Addicts Podcast. And we're back. It's Movie Addicts Podcast. Keep expanding on this point here.
So, if I'm correct, a successful...
What the fuck?
A successful situational comedy, sitcom, gives you an ensemble of characters that you start to learn all of their quirks and their idiosyncrasies. And so, the funny is not them existing as themselves. The funny is the situation that they're forced to exist within. Right? Yes, for sure. We fall in love with characters and bits and things like that, like the personality traits. But we really get excited about how
All right, yeah, sorry, folks. We had a...
Wait, but he hasn't seen Guardians.
He'll pop... Al, you're not coming on the bottom.
Then what are we doing here? What are you talking?
What?
Al, can you call Dom to have him open the door
Can you
for
call
you?
Dom to have him let you in?
Yeah.
All right. He's pissed.
Hit do not disturb.
Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry, folks.
Al, you're out. You're out, Al.
Al, you're out. Al, you're out.
Okay, so...
What the fuck is
So the point is, when I watched that movie, there just came a point where I was like, I'm no longer just falling in love with the quirkiness of each individual character. I love to see how they react to different situations together.
Yeah.
It was so cool. Like, the film really was. There were so many different situations that they all had to deal with, and you had to find out how their strengths helped resolve the conflict. It was so much fun to watch.
Yeah, no, keep expanding on this. Keep expanding on this.
That's about it, you know. I mean, if
Mm.
there's a favorite moment in the film, I can't help but love that one line from Drax when he says something like, "We'll kill one guy, one
Yeah, the line
stupid
that's in the
guy that
trailer.
nobody loves."
Yeah, it is funny. It is funny.
So
My
good.
favorite Drax moment is... Well, there's a lot. I
There's
love
so
Drax.
many. Drax is great.
I really like Dave Bautista in that role.
I know he wants to do more with his career, but I don't think he realizes the joy that his performance as Drax brings people. It's really incredible.
Maybe he does. Maybe.
Maybe.
You think he doesn't? Wow.
I would like to think I've read either articles or watched interviews, and I know that he really, really, really wants to be taken seriously as an actor, and I believe he's got chops. And I think he has days where he thinks playing Drax is kind of putting him in a box.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I don't know, it's a box that like people can't help but love, you know.
Yeah, I think it takes skill. Like, I think it's interesting. I mean, I get it. I get wanting to be taken seriously as an actor. But I think it takes skill to play a character like that the way he does.
Yes, he's so good at it.
It takes skill to be like really genuinely funny on screen, and
remember that moment when he was with Chris Pratt and he was trying to tell him the metaphors or something like that?
Yes.
And I think Nebula was in the corner.
Yeah,
no, it was Mantis. Mantis was in the corner.
Very funny.
So
I love
good.
when he says he's like out of the nuts and then he eats the last one. She's like, actually, I would like one. You know, he's like, well, I can't. They're all out. And then you see him sort of sneak one in his mouth. Like, I think that stuff's really funny.
Again, situational comedy.
Yes.
If I'm correct, I might be wrong about this now, but Drax in the first film would tell the truth. Well, I've only got one left, and it's mine. You know, but he starts to learn how to like break his nature to adapt to the group, and the fact that he lies.
So this is like a whole arc. You're saying?
I
between
believe so.
movies
Yeah,
1, 2,
for
3.
sure. He lies to her face. And straight up eats the nut.
Yeah.
Right
Which that's
in
interesting.
front
That like that's not something his character would have done in the first movie.
No, I don't think so.
I also it was really fun to watch this with like a full theater. Because the theater was really loving
Yeah, they
it.
were really into it. Everybody was laughing.
It was also like just made you like feel good, which is really I think that's kind of hard to find.
Film?
That's kind of Cocaine Bear made me feel really good, but no, I'm joking. Cocaine Bear dog shit.
Cocaine
Terrible.
Bear had some good feel good moments. It's just
writing it's you know when it happens though. You know when a movie makes people
I'd like that
brings
out of
them joy.
For Strange Place. I would like that.
Yeah. You know, yeah, I would too. You know when that happens, you can feel it happen in like a theater.
Yeah.
And it's rare. Like if you're being real, it's rare. The only other time I can think of
Not
that
only
happening.
rare for a third in a trilogy. Think about that.
Yeah. It reminded me of when I watched Baby Driver in a theater.
Huh.
And you could tell how like into that movie people were.
Yeah.
And
I believe it.
And just how the twists and turns, how thrilling they were, and the characters,
Really
and the
was
funny
an
moments, and the
unpredictable
jokes, and
Very
I think it's a rare achievement, and definitely no small feat. And yeah, so James Gunn was clearly the guy to like, bring it home.
Yeah.
And so it's also exciting. Like, I don't want to get like make our discussion too like businessy, but it's I think maybe cool that he's going to be head of all this DC stuff because,
Yeah.
I think he's just probably going to bring a lot to that universe.
I hope
you know?
so. I really hope so.
Yeah. So, what are some of your big takeaways from this movie? And I don't even. I mean, I won't caveat the question. I think I'll just ask it.
Big takeaways. Well, as an audience member, I was grateful for the closure that James Gunn provided me for the Guardians.
Yeah.
I like that the film kind of set up that there will be a future with these characters. Granted,
Some of them.
that future will be different. But I like the way they currently existed as a team. I just the sense of closure was really beautiful. You know, I was talking with my mom about it today because she said, "Is there a happy ending?" My mom really likes happy endings, and I told her kind of, and then I explained that some characters get textbook happy endings. Some characters get you make the best with the hand that you're dealt. So everybody gets a happy ending. But I really appreciated it about this film. Like, James Gunn has created an ensemble of characters that really, I think they're so near and dear to everybody because we relate with them. You know, everybody feels kind of like an outcast. Everybody feels like their weaknesses outweigh their strengths. Everybody feels like they make mistakes, which weigh down the group. And yet somehow we rely on our friends to lift us back up and remind us of how much value and joy we bring those that we love and who we surround ourselves with.
Yeah.
And, like, this film really does a wonderful job with that. Everybody has their mistakes in the film, and everybody has their strengths. And I don't mean as performers, I mean the characters, the story. So I really enjoyed the sense of closure in terms of, like, the journey of the Guardians, the way Star-Lord and Gamora's arc is currently heading. I liked that they made Rocket like the main character. Like, Rocket has always been like central, but sometimes I feel like it's easy to think Star-Lord is the central and Rocket is kind of like a fancy sidekick Robin kind of character.
Yeah.
And Rocket was a fucking hero in this movie, you know?
Yeah.
Like, the depths of his trauma and the heights of his success was beautiful. It was inspiring. It's really exciting to watch how James Gunn could make you fall in love with such a broken, silly raccoon.
Yes.
You know? How is that possible?
Right.
He shows us how it's possible.
Yeah, and I think you care so much about the fate. I mean, the movie revolves around Rocket, whether Rocket will survive or not. That's really the main plot. Like, that ends up being kind of the A plot. Running parallel to, not even running parallel to, and that plot is tied into the High Evolutionary and his obsession with
creating a
with
perfect
Rocket
species.
Yeah, like the reason Rocket gets injured is because the High Evolutionary wants Rocket back.
Yeah, he considers Rocket his property, his intellectual and physical property, and he wants to study Rocket because Rocket is an anomaly amongst his experiments.
I can't remember what I can't remember the details of that, but yes.
The exact detail, I'll try not to give away too much of the plot. Basically, when the High Evolutionary created Rocket, the High Evolutionary was also trying to create the perfect species so he can create a utopian world. And in the process of trying to develop those, we'll call them like super genetics or whatever, you know, he can't solve a problem. He's trying to solve the problem. He's doing experiments. He's going through the numbers, and he can't figure it out. And Rocket makes a recommendation that the High Evolutionary can try. Rocket suggests changing a variable in the experiment. And the High Evolutionary tries it.
Yeah, it works.
And it works. And it blows his mind because all of his experiments, they only succeed in so much as that they exist and they are wonders of creation, but they are ultimately shadows or reflections of reality. They're only good at mimicry. And Rocket is the only creation of his that had a unique voice and inspiration and ability to think for himself. Truly create with originality. And he wanted that. High Evolutionary wanted that. He wanted to understand how that was possible. How what he considers his greatest mistake to actually be his greatest success, and he wanted to capture it and continue to manipulate it. Which I guess, you know, from like a human standpoint, this is the beauty of James Gunn. It's like even within the plight of the villain, do we see ourselves? You know, how often do we I mean, this is something I deal with day to day as of late. Is like, how often do I see things within myself that are failures, when the reality is that failure is very much my greatest strength in many ways, or the very things that I think are holding me back most are actually the very things that I should be running towards, because those are the things that are going to get me where I want to, because I'm resisting it.
Yeah,
know?
I think there's a really interesting theme. What Rocket figures out for the High Evolutionary is how he can make these clones peaceful, right? And the High Evolutionary is really is afraid of aggression.
Oh, interesting. I never really thought about that, but you're right.
He's afraid of aggression, yet he is highly aggressive.
Oh my goodness, he's dangerous.
Right? It's a really interesting, really great character, and I loved the actor. I had never seen that actor in anything, and he was great.
Yeah, right.
And yeah, he's afraid of. It's funny. He's in his fear of aggression. He is highly aggressive, right? It's sort of a theme in there of, like, I don't know, repressing aggression and like you're saying, you know, seeing aggression as a weakness or a failure, rather than sort of trying to do something good with it, which is kind of the whole dilemma of the Guardians. It seems like are they Guardians? Are they kind
criminals?
Of warriors? Are they criminals? Are they outlaw? What are they? And at the end of the day, they are able to live by a set of principles and be like the Guardians, right, of the galaxy, not like the destroyers of the galaxy, right? Sure. But I think that's the whole point of the High Evolutionary, is like he's a foil, right? He sort of illuminates the ways in which the Guardians are like him and unlike him, and kind of the spectrum of choices they have in terms of how they want to, like, the change they want to make in the universe, right?
Right.
And the High Evolutionary is bent on creating utopic planets where people have no aggression, but sort of the result of that is basically, I'm trying to think of, like, how to articulate what the result of that is. I don't know if you could.
What do you mean the result? Plot-wise,
like
thematically, what the audience takes away?
I'm thinking kind of thematically. It's like he tries to, like, create what he thinks are perfect worlds.
Yeah.
And the result of that is quite ugly.
It's kind of as simple as what happens in Jurassic Park with Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
He says life finds a way.
Right.
And the reason that relates to this is because you think you can control something, but you can't. And the High Evolutionary managed, through Rocket's intuition, to create a species that was non-aggressive, that could organize and be like a second Earth. But unlike High Evolutionary's expectation to create a perfect society, there's still drug deals happening in alleyways. There's still people getting mugged and beat up. And he tries to hide that from the population and from his fellow, I don't know what you'll say, aspirees, like the people who work alongside him and believe in his vision. But the reality is, like, he can't run away from the fact that he's trying to control something that cannot be controlled. And so, I guess, to bring it back to, like, what is the High Evolutionary a foil of? The High Evolutionary believes in, like, progress through almost like a fascistic pursuit, through strict organization.
Through order. And,
yes.
Yeah.
And the Guardians believe in progress through, like, messiness and embracing reality and people's brokenness, you know? That really is the foil, because even Rocket is repeatedly told by the High Evolutionary that Rocket is a mistake. Rocket is broken. Rocket cannot be a part of this perfect society. You are intrinsically a failure. And you were created to be a failure, and you will never be allowed to be a part of anything beautiful that I make. Almost insinuating that you are ugly, and I am not. And I'm above you. when the reality is like the high evolutionary can put himself on any pedestal he wants, but his very willingness to control it shows a weakness and a blindness to the reality of the universe, that there is moral gray areas and there are ways of living a full life with imperfections.
Well, I think also the having aggression gives you the ability to fight for things you believe in. And then he's populating planets with creatures who have no ability to defend themselves. You know?
Yeah.
They're servile and docile and all these things, which can be nice sometimes, but in other ways can create massive problems. And so it's like, yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if this sounds conspiratorial, but sometimes I feel like movies and studios put out projects that kind of perpetuate certain concepts that I wonder if they're like trying to like steer the culture, the zeitgeist in a certain direction. And if there was anything specific that sometimes I feel like is being impressed upon us right now, it's the idea that we should be benign to the degree of weakness, and we should be non-confrontational, and we should be looking out to protect everyone's feelings and perspectives in a higher pursuit of making sure everybody feels like they have a place. And that's a beautiful thing, but it makes me wonder, like, how the heck did James Gunn's films slip through all of that? Because James Gunn really doesn't play by the rules. His film does not play by the rules. It really allows there to be, like, such room for a messy yet, beautiful array of themes that I don't think suggest conformity. It really is like, do not conform,
Yeah, I mean, that sort of feels like it's in the bones of this movie, I would say, because dare I say this movie's actually like there's actually storytelling happening.
Do you think this film will have any chance of being nominated
for an Oscar?
Yeah.
No.
Not even like a best ensemble or
I don't know.
Like best comedy or something. Or Oscars don't have a
It
best
could win
comedy,
maybe like a Golden Globe or something, perhaps. Maybe.
It was so good.
I don't know, to be honest with you. I don't think it's fair for Marvel films to compete in the Oscars. That's just my feeling.
Why?
Because the Oscars should lift up movies that don't have the kind of backing that, in my opinion, that's kind of what it's for. It's meant to sort of bolster the independent film market in certain ways, which I think is valuable.
That sounds kind of... I don't mean to sound too critical, but that sounds like just not a... That sounds not true to me.
I think it is. I don't think I'm even saying an opinion. I think that's what the Oscars has historically... It's historically been structured as like, your film kind of maybe gets some festival buzz. It gets, picked up in the independent film market, gets distributed, gets nominated for an Oscar, wins an Oscar,
biggest
perhaps.
Films, a lot of the biggest films that win are studio backed. NBC,
I'm using
Universal,
the film independent
Warner
loosely.
Brothers,
I'm using
Disney.
the film independent loosely. Like I'm saying, like Fox Searchlight. That's an independent.
But it's still Fox, which is still Disney.
No. I know, but it's still like it's Fox's like smaller.
If you're saying
releases.
it's not franchisey, then that I can understand. But to say it's not studio backed or that it's independent in a funding
I'm using independent.
standpoint,
I'm using independent loosely. It's A24 studio.
A24,
but they make sort of independent, adjacent shit.
A24 is the closest to me being like, all right, Dale, I kind of see what you're saying. But A24 is big now.
I don't think I'm stating an opinion. Historically, that's kind of what the Oscars was for. Was the pipeline from festival to independent distribution to Oscar.
No.
What?
I don't think so.
I'm telling you, do a little research. I'm telling you, it's a thing.
Dale, okay, so here's the thing. I know that I haven't been trained as much in cinema studies as you, and I don't have as much history, but what I can say, if I'm I'm willing to put some chips on this, is the festival circuit did not exist in the 20s and 30s. You know, this was marketing opportunities.
I'm talking from the 90s to
studios.
now.
But you said historically.
Historically, so I'm talking within 30 years. That might be, maybe it's changing now. Like, maybe Guardians of the Galaxy, like, would get nominated.
I mean, here's the thing. I'm in support of Guardians of the Galaxy because I think it's, even though it's a studio film, it's pushing what I want to see more of in movies. You know, originality, a sense of play, a director, writer-driven project, not a studio-driven project. You know,
it's still a studio project, though. I'm sort of stating two things at once. Yeah, no, I'm not talking about the full spectrum of film history. Yes, like the Oscar. I'm talking about there was a shift that happened in the 90s. I would say we're still living in that paradigm as it pertains to the Oscars. It's possible that it's shifting again, possibly. So I hear your rebuttal.
To your credit, this
but
last year...
I also have a personal feeling I don't think it's fair for Marvel films to play in the same sandbox as, like, The Whale. Like, that doesn't feel fair to me. And I was like, if the Oscars is gonna... Like, Guardians of the Galaxy shouldn't be in the same sandbox as Everything Everywhere. Like, is that a fair fight? I don't know.
I feel like it should be. I think here's the thing. Is it a fair fight that films are getting $300 million plus? Maybe not, but I guess this is my hope, is that best movie wins, right?
Yeah.
And so if A24 can prove David Goliath that a $14 million budget film, or 17 really, a $17 million budget film can outpace a $300 million budget film, then that doesn't sound unfair. That sounds like, fuck yeah, let's go. You know what I'm saying? Let's put them in the same sandbox so we can see that these films with smaller budgets can stand up on their two legs. I think the bigger thing, like for me, what I would like to see is that the Academy puts a cap on how many films can be nominated from studios. So if half of them were independent, like A24, Searchlight, and less, then maybe you can allow a couple that are... I mean, couldn't you say Top Gun Maverick is a huge studio project?
No, it is a huge studio project.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's competing against the likes of The Whale and Everything Everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's because of that, I would say that's a fantastic thing, because Tom Cruise fucking crushed Maverick. It was so good. But A24 came in and swept with Everything Everywhere.
Well,
and it wouldn't be as effective, I think, if it was just amongst the independents, you know?
Yeah.
Like the fact that it was able to outpace Maverick, and even though Maverick has history, even though Maverick has Tom Cruise, even though Maverick has a bigger budget, fantastic, you know?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just thinking. Yeah. I think also the Academy has its own tastes, right? So...
Well, that's different. You're right about that.
Like,
I don't think... That's the thing, is I don't think Guardians would be accepted on a basis of taste. You know?
Well, yeah, it's interesting.
Unless they put it in the musical comedy, which it could be, because there is a pretty bombastic soundtrack, and it is a funny movie, you know?
Yeah.
But...
I mean, I think shifting the conversation back to the movie, I mean, I think it's a really impactful movie. I think it's really well constructed.
Yeah. When you say well constructed, you mean well directed, or you mean literally like plot and writing wise?
I think the storytelling and the direction, I think, like script plus direction, I think are really strong.
It's expert level.
I would say it's definitely expert level. I mean, it's like, my gripe with so many Marvel movies is that I don't think there's real storytelling happening. It feels like it's like a corporate Jackson Pollock painting or something. It's sort of like it's fucking all over the place, and I have no idea what the fuck is going on. And I think this movie, we'll be right back, I guess, with the Movie Addicts podcast. Hey. Yeah. All right, we're back. Movie Addicts Podcast. My gripe with so many Marvel movies is that I the storytelling is so sloppy that I quite literally have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
And this is like, it's impossible to not know what's going on because it's being guided by such a steady hand. And the plot is simple yet thematically complex. You and I talked a lot about that, right? Simple plot without diluting any of the themes.
You're right. The A plot is pretty straightforward.
The plot is straightforward because basically they're kind of just like chilling, and then Rocket gets mortally injured. And they're like, why did that happen? And then they sort of start to like figure out how can we heal him, and it turns out how they can heal him, it leads them right back to the belly of the whale, right? So like that's just a great structure.
Something familiar for the audience, but fresh because of the characters.
Yes, and you know what the fuck is going on. Yet it's complex. It's making you're thinking about a lot of different things. You're seeing a lot of different character arcs. You're thinking on a lot of different themes. Like it's really a complex like scatter plot.
Yeah.
But scatter plot, I don't mean like plot, like story plot. It's like this complex array of things to feast on, but it's guided by such a steady hand that it's.
There's a lot of tension on that cable, I think.
Oh shit!
I don't know if you want to just pull the mixer closer.
Nice. And so that was just a real treat for me. Is seeing a Marvel movie that was just that. Not even just a Marvel movie, just seeing a movie, period, that was that well constructed.
Yeah, it really was a treat. You're right.
And I think you can also go into that movie having never seen a Marvel movie, having never seen any of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, and I think you'd still get that movie.
I'd like to see Dungeons and Dragons with you, and I'd like to know if you have any similar feelings.
Maybe I'd like it.
Dungeons and Dragons has a very plucky cast. The jokes are similar. I don't think they're as good, but I don't think that they feel like cheap knockoffs. I do think a lot of the jokes are well done. And all the characters have great little individual arcs and discoveries. Yeah. The story has a couple predictable things, but a couple unpredictable things.
Interesting.
I kind of want to see that with you and get your feeling if you think it's just kind of like a dog shit corporate approach to Dungeons and Dragons, or if it's kind of like taking something that could have been overly corporate and making it feel fresh.
Nice. All right, we'll have a little movie night. We'll watch it. I mean, I love Chris Pine, so I can get through it.
He is so much fun.
Yeah. Other things you loved about this movie?
Soundtrack.
Yeah, I was just about to talk about the soundtrack.
Soundtrack's fantastic.
I love
can't remember all
Creep
the songs,
by Radiohead at the beginning is awesome.
Yo,
it's also
what
like
a
an
great
acoustic.
Idea.
It's an acoustic take.
Really great acoustic take.
Which I loved. What are the songs? Florence and the Machine at the end.
So cool. Yeah, Dog
What
Days,
other songs
right?
stood out to you? Yeah.
Those are really the big ones. I like that they did squeeze in the Hooked on a Feeling at the end. That gave me the feels. That really gave me the feels. Because that was how it all started.
Yeah.
10 years ago. 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah,
so the soundtrack was bomb. The CGI was good. This film had... rephrase. The special effects were good. Because this film had a surprising amount of practical effects. I didn't expect them. Sometimes I feel like these Marvel films have, like, exhausted us with CGI. And I think some of the smart directors are starting to see that, like, the audience prefers practical effects when possible.
Yeah.
And we saw a lot of that in this film. Like, they could have done so many CGI, those, like, animals.
Yeah.
A lot of them were practical, weren't they? With the funny rabbits and, like, their like, hairy bodies and stuff, and the turtles and the
I don't know
species. I'm pretty sure some of them are practical.
That's wild. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think what else.
So another thing is I loved like the art direction in this.
I was gonna say the prison with all the like the floaty white and orange parts and stuff.
Yeah.
That meaty thing was pretty sick.
It reminded me of I'm looking at Beth Mickle, the production designer, because it really reminded me of Willy Wonka, like the new one.
Yeah.
And I wonder if she did that movie. I'm looking right now. Oh, her credits are really interesting. She's worked with Nick Refn a bunch of times. Super interesting. Yeah, so I just loved the art direction in this. I just thought it was so...
I'm glad you brought that up. It's so good.
It's just really...
It's memorable.
I wish I could... It's slick. It's memorable. It's colorful, literally. It has this sort of... Oh, man. I things were occurring to me as I was watching the movie that are now eluding me, but, like... Yeah, it's just... It felt like kind of... It felt... I wish I had a word for it. But it's interesting because she did... I just looked at her credits and she did... I think she's done all of Nick Refn's movies, like Drive and Only God Forgives, and she's worked with him a bunch of times, which I think is really interesting because
Drive is so good.
His movies are really like weird and there's a lot of primary colors, a lot of like monochromatic lighting and like sort of these like neon.
Can you break that down? What do you mean by primary colors but then monochromatic lighting? What do you mean by that?
So like there was just a scene that's just all red. Lighting's entirely red. Like there's no, and then there's like little, you see in the background there's like greens and pinks, but there's like neons. It's like, yeah, that's what I mean. It's like quite literally like
single,
an entire scene, sort of bathed in just like a deep red. But Nick Refn has like a lot of neon in his movies, which just kind of feels applicable to this movie.
Absolutely. Yeah, there was kind of like a Blade Runner meets like
Blade Runner for
Candy
sure.
Marvel kind of vibe.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think Blade Runner came to mind for sure. Yeah, it I don't know. I was just fully immersed. I wish I had something better to say, but
I want to take a Waititi introduce a little bit of this. Because these kind of colors and vibes, I feel like started in Thor Ragnarok.
Interesting, okay.
Did you see Thor Ragnarok?
No.
I think you would like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the first two Thors kind of took themselves too seriously. They brought on Waititi to do the third one. The third one is when Thor started to have a relationship with the Guardians, I believe. I'm pretty sure. And then it's kind of a comedy. And it's kind of like running around the universe, and the Thor bumps into Hulk, and it's wild. It's wild.
I mean, there's also such a contrast in this movie between the flashbacks and the present.
Yes.
Like the present is very moody and very contrasty, and shadowy, and all these things. And
that's funny. I was going to say the flashbacks were like that.
No, that's what I'm saying. The flashbacks are like that, and then the present is like it's like Candyland or something.
Yeah.
I loved the scene where they land on the that planet with the spacesuits.
Like
they're
the
like colorful
planet?
spacesuits.
So
Spacesuits was really cool.
So cool.
I loved the design inside that space station or whatever. Was really fucking cool.
Which, Nathan Fillion.
Who's Nathan Fillion?
He's the guy who he does a what would you say, kind of like a guest appearance as the captain of the guard. He's like, yeah, I got one of those in my family too. He looks over at the
funny.
Dude, he plays the Rookie on TV.
Got it.
He's been doing it for like 10 years or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's just funny. He's a
my
really
God, that
funny
shit was
actor.
so funny. When the guy was like, wait, they're talking, and then
Pratt's trying to cover up.
No, but then what is that guy? They set up the joke because like the guards are like talking.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, da, da, da. And he's like testing the guy, and the guy's like, oh yeah, I love that. And he's like, It doesn't have like what was that? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he just called him out. The guy was going along with it,
so funny,
pretending that he understood.
I love
everything.
how. Yeah, I just love. I love the sense of humor in this fucking movie. Like,
yeah,
it's so good. Yeah, and then him being like, yeah, I got one of those, idiots too. It's like the boss's son over here.
It's so good.
Like that was just really great. I love like the banter.
Yeah, sometimes I feel I honestly don't like banter.
Oh, I love.
And
banter.
I don't mean I don't like banter, in general.
Yeah.
I find banter to be a trap for writers in terms of writing something that's interesting, something that's quippy. I really think banter can be a trap that doesn't inform the scene, doesn't move things along. James Gunn throughout the film was a fucking banter machine, and at all times, everything that came out of a character's mouth felt present to the given circumstances and felt like it was helping move the plot forward. And it was entertaining.
Yeah.
And that's good banter.
Yeah, I think also he makes time for like in the banter it's got to be like jokes. So I think there's nothing that doesn't feel like tight and polished, punched up in there. Anything else? Any other highlights on Guardians before we wrap it up?
I like the complex relationship between Gamora and Star-Lord. I really like the fact that
I have to say like my least favorite storyline. I was the least interested in it.
Okay.
That's just me.
I might be invested in it because I just want a happy ending in relationships and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the fact that like they went the more realistic route, which is they don't end up together, I really appreciated that. Part of Star-Lord's maturation is accepting the reality, not what once was and he wishes could be, but what is.
Yeah.
And all the while, I think it is kind of cool that little by little James Gunn was kind of peeling away at Gamora's hard heart. When she walks away, she has that little like side glance, and you can't help but think like, not today, but maybe they will fall back in love in a couple more movies or whatever. You know what I'm saying? You can't you just can't help but hope. Even though like it's cool to see like Star-Lord being willing to stop trying to force the issue with Gamora. Do you agree with any of that? Or did any of that occur to you?
I think. Yeah, again, it was just like It was just my least.
You weren't really
interesting.
invested in it.
I was the least interested in it.
I really liked them as a couple.
I did like that it landed on sort of like a
bittersweet.
Yeah, I liked that as a bow on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't think as deeply about it as you did. Evidently, because I wasn't as interested in it.
That's fine. Some people, want them to be together. Some people are just watching Drax.
I love Drax and I love Rocket.
Mantis has really grown on me. I thought she was kind of a wet noodle character when she was introduced in the second film. She's really good.
Which Mantis is the blue woman?
Mantis is the woman with the little antennas.
Oh yeah,
who is an empath, so to speak.
Yeah,
she can hear
She's
people's
funny.
minds and influence their emotions.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really good.
Huh. Nice.
Anything else? I like that he finally went back to Earth and saw his.
Yeah, that was sick.
That was sick. Not expected.
And then, that was sick. I liked that too.
And then they said Star-Lord will be back. I wonder what that means. Because they said Star-Lord. They didn't say the Guardians will be back. They said Star-Lord will be back. Are they going to do a Star-Lord film?
Is Chris Pratt going to do it too?
Of course, yeah.
Of course.
The question is, like, what does that mean that Star-Lord will be back? Will he be in a solo film?
Series?
Interesting. Maybe. It didn't even occur to me. They could do a series with Chris Pratt alone. They're doing that whole Nick Fury series right now. Secret Invasion.
What's Nick Fury?
Nick Fury is Sam Jackson. He's the leader of...
Oh, yeah. Nice.
He started the Avengers Initiative, but
Nice.
He's also in charge of something else. I forget what they call it.
Nice. Sam Jackson.
He's so good.
Samuel Jackson.
You feeling ready to wrap it up?
Yeah.
Well,
I think Guardians, man, it's a good one.
Would you watch it again?
Yes.
Would you want to try to watch it again in IMAX?
We didn't see it in IMAX. Wow. Yeah, that'd be sick. That'd be sick.
Yeah, I agree. I think if it's still running in IMAX, I might try to see it this week.
Yeah, it was really fun to watch. I really enjoyed it.
I couldn't believe how much fun I had. I really just wanted to go to the theaters and have a good
nice.
time. And it was the first time where I walked out of the theater and I was just like, this is what it's all about.
Yeah, the next day I was just in terrible pain from my abdomen.
Yeah, you
My
ripped your
abdomen
boob
injury.
off.
But I had a great night watching the movie, It's great.
Dale tried doing 400 sit-ups and he succeeded.
And then my abdomen was just shredded.
Shredded.
Not in the good way either.
No,
All right.
like in a bad
Well,
way.
I mean, anything else you want to toss in?
Nah, man. Cock up or lock up.
This is a lockup. This is a lockup for me.
This is 1,000% a lock up.
No cock-ups this week. That's huge.
Nay.
So this has been anything else you want to throw in?
We got 2 episodes flying up at you guys this week.
Are we putting out 2 this week?
I mean, we're going to try.
Yeah, we'll try.
More like I'll have to
Bo was
force
afraid
myself
it's
to sit
coming out.
down and edit it.
Yeah.
Again, with the DaVinci Resolve thing, it's kind of a pain compared to Premiere.
Mm.
The auto sync it's not as good as Adobe's. So what I need to do is find a way to upgrade DaVinci and see if they have a better software in the newer versions. So
Anyway, we'll get those uppies out.
yeah,
And,
baby. It was a lockup.
and
It was a good week, and we
good
hope
week.
you watch it, and
Good week.
we hope you drop it in the comments of how much you like it too.
Yeah. Comment.
Like, subscribe.
Like, subscribe. Like, we always put that at the end, which is the best place to put it.
It's the only place you should put it, because obviously
When everyone's
gonna
gone.
watch the whole episode.
Right. When everyone's gone, then that's when
Right.
we promote it.
I think that's good marketing and advertising.
Absolutely. All right, guys. I'm Dale.
And I'm giving you a smooch.
Okay. All right. Who are you though?
I'm Gabe.
He's Gabe, and this has been the Movie Addicts
Movie
podcast.
X Podcast. Hell yeah.
We'll see you soon.
Bang bang.
I like the new couch, man. We didn't even talk about the new couch.
Do we have to? Speaks for
No,
itself.
it does speak for itself, doesn't it? Wow.
That's what I'm talking about, baby.
Wow.
Since you've been gone. Since you've been gone.